It's love again, and I pulled up in the color bins, choking, staying hard through my Prada lens. You standing there looking fine as a Kardashian. I hopped out, grabbed her hand, and asked her, Ken, not marriage, no, not yet, but what's the chances of dinner time? 6 plus sex, she said it equals us, past the Dutch, and you could keep the clutch. Cause my love for you was automatic, had to have it. Now I'm living lavish, so many different whips, and every day new Gucci, Prada, and Louis baggage. What's going on, everybody?
Welcome
to another episode of Married with Knowledge. I am your host, Terry, here with my good aunt, Mr. Clemont Brown. What's going on, Aunt?
What's up? What's up?
Yes, sir. Today we got a special episode for you. As you may know, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we brought a very special guest, Miss Chantel, on. And she is here to share her story, her experiences, and give you guys some insight and help with that topic. How you doing, Chantel?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing good. Thank you for coming on.
We're doing good.
Awesome.
Yes,
awesome.
for sure. Yeah, first off, we definitely want to thank you for being here and being brave enough to actually, speak about this. Not everybody is as open to doing so. But we truly appreciate your openness.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Yes, ma'am. So before we get into, the tough stuff, we would like our listeners to know a little bit about you. What are you passionate about? And what keeps you going?
I am 43 now. I am a single parent of 3. I have 1 in college and I have 2 teenagers. I reside in Atlanta, Georgia. I am originally from Rochester, New York. However, I did also grow up in the DMV area. So I have a little bit of mixed culture, mixed experience, from different prominent areas. I'm proud of all of the places that I've grown up. I reside in Georgia now. I work with children and families, children that have autism. I'm passionate about working with children and families. And yeah, that's me. I'm passionate about, I'm a music lover. I'm a laugher. I'm a writer. I love photography. I love people.
Hey,
That's dope.
that is dope.
Mm-hmm.
And she got her birthday is the same day as Auntie, so that's
Oh,
Gina's
wow.
birthday twin. She's been doing it all these years.
Yeah.
That's cool. So let me ask you, what inspired you to speak out and share your story publicly? Was it like a moment where you said it's time for others to hear what you've been through, and hopefully that may help somebody?
I just believe that everything that we all go through in life is for a reason. It's not just for us. And if we were able to make it through that, it's because I believe God wants us to pull other people through that. And we didn't survive by chance or just by circumstance or good faith. We survived something because God wants us to help and be a beacon of light for other people. And so with what happened to me, I just promised that I would never let it be in vain. It was major, and so I need to help as many other people as I can. Even if I don't help a victim, I would like to help perpetrators know what kind of pain that they're causing people.
Ooh.
And kind of get them to take a second look at anger's a trip. And that's even a personal goal of mine as I continue to age, is even if you feel anger, I really respect people like monks that even if they're angry, you'd never know it because they have so much self-control that they don't show it. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with showing your emotion, but I think it's something very powerful about not letting your emotions rule over you and cause you to have bad behavior or do things that you can't take back. And so that's important to me, not just on the side of a survivor or a victim, but on the other side of the perpetrator too, because usually people that hit, they have a past, they have some reasons and some emotions and some trouble spots too on why they're like that. So awareness is important on both sides.
Yep, that's where that trauma comes in. And as Unc may know, my mother-in-law does a podcast as well, and that's what she talks about, the different traumas that people go through that may cause the behaviors. So I definitely get that. But that was a great answer, especially about raising awareness for the perpetrator, so they can actually see and know what you're putting people through, because I'm pretty sure, in the heat of the moment, they're not thinking about what they're putting that person through. But I love that answer. I really do.
Definitely do. Definitely do.
Appreciate. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we talk about domestic violence, people often picture it being just physical, but obviously it could start smaller. So looking back, what were some early signs that didn't seem like abuse at first?
My significant other at the time was amazing in the beginning, very charming. First date, he had someone come and sing to me, serenade me. We were in the church at the time, and I was already a single parent. So we wanted to do things the right way. So things moved along quicker than maybe they normally would, because, of course, the church teaches you want to live holy, you want to live right, you don't want to be living in sin. So those were the things that kind of were over top of the dating. In the beginning, very, very sweet, very, very romantic, and had some really good fundamental ideals to be a husband, or to be a spouse, or to be a mate, and to lead. And so those things were great. I think there were some missing guidance and leadership with that. And sometimes I think people are just doing the best they can, especially when they're young. Not to make excuses for anyone, it's just kind of thoughts that I have about it. So it started off great, but then there were little things that would come in where I was just like, that was kind of mean, just mean comments. That with
Uh-oh.
that, or you shouldn't wear that, that makes you look like an old lady, or why are you laughing so loudly? Just things about a person's personality, just kind of picking apart, slowly kind of chipping away at who a person is. And so innately they felt wrong to me. However, you feel like, well, no relationship is perfect. No one is perfect. So you try to extend grace, and you try to, a lot of times women excuse so many things away because they see the good in someone, and they try to focus on the good and not focus on the bad, and figure, well, this is something that can be prayed on, or worked through. And it kind of started like that, then it started to, the house had to be cleaned a certain way by a certain time. I was expecting, and I was really, really sick with morning sickness. And anybody that knows, even though it's called morning sickness, it can last all day, right? And so, I was really, really sick a particular day, but I knew that before he got home, that if that house wasn't clean to his liking, that he would be really mean to me. And so I, mustered up enough strength to rush down and try to get the dishes done. And unbeknownst to me, there was a broken glass in the sink. And so I'm moving quickly, and I shoved my hand under the water, trying to wash the dishes. And there was a broken glass in there, and it sliced my hand open. I'm not sure if you can see it here, but it sliced my hand open, requiring some stitches. And, it's just things like that where, you're living in fear of how you're going to be treated or talked to. If love will be withheld, touch, affection will be withheld, mean comments will be made, just things like that. Money control, spiritual control, emotional control. It starts like that oftentimes. Then the hitting slowly comes in, and it'll come in so quickly that it'll almost play a mind trick on you. Like, did I just get pushed, or did I just get shoved? It'll be like a small shove maybe at first. Then it'll be a bigger shove. And then the next thing you know, it's and then they find ways to make it your fault. And it's just, it happens like that, unfortunately, a lot of times. Not for every person, but that's how my situation happened. It was just slow little increments that built up until it culminated into a major experience.
Wow. Well, we sorry to hear that you had to go through that. Um, you know, leaving abusive situations takes incredible amount of courage. What who gave you the strength? Was it the person, child, faith, just reaching your breaking point? What was it that made you want to leave?
Leaving, I can't remember the exact thing that made us separate, but we separated. I stayed in my townhouse with my children, and he went somewhere else. And I finally felt like, oh, I can breathe again, rebuild my life, pick up the pieces. When this major incident happened where my eye socket was broken, we weren't together anymore. However, I always felt like I was raised in a family where we're fair. We believe in being fair and being equitable, right? The children are not just my children, they have a father too. So regardless of if we get along the best, if you're a good father or if you're trying to be a good father, active father, I tried to leave the door open for that. And so this particular day, he was just coming over to supposed to be visiting with his child. They're supposed to be downstairs visiting with each other, and I'm upstairs trying to get ready for work. I had gotten a sitter, to watch the kids while I went to work, and I'm upstairs getting ready for work. And next thing I know, he's upstairs with me. And I just felt like, no, I'm advocating for myself. We are no longer together. This is not a space you should be in. You have no business in my upstairs where you don't need to be here. You need to be downstairs with your child. That's the reason you're here. I've allowed you to come here to visit with your child. That's what you need to be doing. Why are you upstairs in my personal space? Please go downstairs. And I was really, really conscious about, as nicely as I could, but as firmly as I could, declaring, this is my space. You need to go downstairs. Please go downstairs. Please go downstairs. You need to be downstairs. Why are you up here? You have no business up, over and over and over. And we went through this for at least 30 minutes to an hour, and he just refused to leave my space. At one time, he went and sat on my bed. He's watching me as I'm putting on my makeup and trying to get ready. And he's just like, why do you have that on? You look like an old lady in that. And just bothering me, and I'm just like, you're not going to do this anymore. You were mean to me in the relationship. Our relationship is over and done with. You have no business up here. But for whatever reason, he just refused to leave. Years later, when we finally did speak again, he told me that his intent was for us to get back together. And so that was his mind frame of why he was in my upstairs and why he was in my personal space. Whereas I was in the mind frame of, we're completely done. This is done and over with. We have no other dealings besides co-parenting. And so I understood it a little bit more once I knew that that was where he was coming from, but that wasn't where I was at all. And
Wow.
so, it finally got to the point where I was like, you're going to make me lose my job. I can't lose my job. I have to keep my job. I have to take care of my kids. It's just me taking care of my kids. Please leave. You're going to make me late for work. You're going to, just that desperation of, I got to get out of here. It was very hard for me at the time because my children were young. It was very hard for me at that time to find babysitters, reliable sitters, transportation, being able to just get to and from work and all that kind of thing at that time. And so it was major for me to find a sitter that I trusted to watch the kids and be able to get to work and all of that. So I just really felt a big sense of desperation of, please go downstairs. You're going to make me late for work. I can't lose my job. And he just refused to leave. He wouldn't give me our child at the time, and it just turned into violence. One blow, then a blow was exchanged back. And at that time, I had never been hit by anyone in the face, especially not a man. So I was like, whoo, that first blow was like, whoa, fire to the face. But I gave it back to him. Then he hit me again. Boom. And I gave it back. Then that third hit, it was like my soul just left my body. That's the only way I could describe it. You hear about people like describing a near-death experience, or moments where maybe they lost consciousness or they were between life and death. It really does feel like that. Like you really do feel like you go outside of yourself, because it was like my body and my inside was just no longer connected. Like my body's just like, I can't take anymore. So I get that you're trying to defend yourself, but we can't take anymore, and just collapse to the ground like just such a heavy load, like a bag of bricks just hits the ground. That's how it felt to me. And so when I was down on the ground, I thought my eyeball had fallen out. That's how much it hurt. It hurt so much that it almost didn't hurt, if that makes any sense. It just hurt so much. And I was like, oh my God, my eyeball is in my hand. But I got to get up because I got to get my baby. I have to get my child. And so I was going down the first flight of stairs. When I got to the landing, I was like, oh my gosh, my other two children are downstairs playing close to by this door. I'll have to pass them. I don't want to frighten them. They already heard all this commotion, I'm sure. But I was like, but I have to get my baby. So blood is pouring down my face as I'm going down. I got my hand over my eye, like this eyeball is in my hand. And then I just collapsed in the middle of the sidewalk. And that's where you can see in some of those pictures, my best friend was at the house at the time downstairs, and she tried to intervene, but he was going to hit her too. And it frightened her. And so she was there with me. That's who took the photographs of me, like when I collapsed in the middle of the sidewalk. And I was just thinking to myself, where my hands are kind of like in that praying position. I wasn't necessarily praying. I don't think. It was more so like, I'm in such immense pain. I need to stay completely still. And I'm just thinking like, well, what a mess I've gotten myself into now. Like my eyeball, I knew by then my eyeball was not out, but I couldn't open my eye at all. And my baby was gone, and my focus was just like, I don't know where my baby is, And so that was that. And I had to wait for the emergency personnel to come and, all that.
I hate to hear that. Like that's very hard for me to even listen to. But again, your bravery and your willingness to tell your story, I'm pretty sure will help someone. And speaking of that, if there's anyone listening who is in that position where they feel scared, they feel stuck, with no way out, what would you tell them right now if you had a chance to tell them anything?
Do not let your pride, your fear, your confusion overshadow what is very real to you. If you feel like someone is being mean to you, if you feel like something is not right, trust that there are resources in every city and every state for victims, for people that need help. So even if you don't feel comfortable with your family knowing, reach out to a church organization, reach out to a community organization. There are lots of places where you can get help or get some guidance on what your options are and what you can do. Because a lot of times that's why people stay in these type of situations, because of shame, right? A lot of times your family will see things before you will, because they're not in love with the person. So a lot of times your family will tell you, you need to leave so-and-so, or that person's not good for you. But because you decide to stay and then it gets worse, then you're too ashamed to go to your family, because they told you shouldn't be with them anyway, and you did it anyway. So a lot of times victims will just suffer in silence because they're so ashamed, or maybe they don't have the financial means to leave, or whatever the case. And so just everybody deserves safe, secure, whole love. You know, you deserve to be in a safe situation. If it's not safe, if it doesn't feel safe, if it doesn't feel good to you, get out. You got to get out, or at least make a plan to get out. If you can't leave right away, strategically make a plan. Take some time every day and just slowly make a plan to leave. Because I understand a lot of times women can't leave right away. The man may be the only one that works. You may not even be in the country with permanent residency. You know, there's all kind of women that are in the country that are just here on temporary visas. So if they tell on their husband, they'll get deported back to their countries. There's all kinds of situations like that, you know, where people just stay. And so
I agree.
you can make a plan slowly, quietly, but you shouldn't stay in anything like that.
Wow.
So let me ask, like, once you were free and you were able to get away, what did healing look like for you? Like, what did you rely on? Faith, therapy, journaling, anything?
All of those started out first and foremost with the help of my family and my friends. I've always been very independent. I come from a family of women that we just kind of get things done and we do it on our own. So that was tough for me to have to rely on people and need help. You really will need help. If you have one eyeball and three young children and you're a single parent, you're going to need some help. And so that was hard for me. Like, wow, I need people to help me because I literally can only see. I only have half my vision, number one. And so thankfully at that time, you know, I went and stayed with my dad and his wife while I recuperated, up until I had surgery. Then I had surgery and needed more recovery time. So I was able to stay with them at that time. New York State had a wonderful program called the Address Confidentiality Program, where they first I was emergency moved to a secret location, and then they put me in that program where they had all of my mail routed to Albany, and then Albany would securely send my mail to my address to ensure the kids and I were safe and nobody knew where we lived. So that gave me a lot of peace of mind, and that helped with healing, because you can't heal if you're always looking over your shoulder, right? You don't know what's going to happen next, because that was the other part of things is the perpetrator has a family too. They have friends too, and they have people that are upset too. And I felt so guilty, like I put my family in such a bad position, because now my family's feelings are involved. Now they're hurt, especially if you're a father or a brother. My uncles, you know, they felt away. You know, they really felt away. And seeing my father, you know, screaming, "Where is he? Where is he?" You know, and I felt a lot of guilt. Like I got my family in a bad situation and I didn't want anyone to get hurt. I didn't want anybody to get in trouble. And so that was tough, seeing them deal with the pain of things. Um, it was just a lot that went to the healing part. But that part of things helped with staying with my family, my friends being around. I did go back to church during that time, and they prayed with me and for me and helped, and, you know, and gave encouragement. I do come from a family of people that write, so we all write poetry and thoughts and things that helped. But like I was telling someone yesterday, healing is not always a one and done. It's kind of sometimes a lifelong thing, because it's like an onion. There are layers to it. And so every October that I do this and I try to bring awareness, it is tough for me. And I'm not gonna lie, when the 31st comes, I'm glad October is over, because I do like to put it up in a suitcase and be done with it. Because it's tough to see myself like that. It's tough to read the comments. It's tough to get the inboxes from women that have either gone through it or are still going through it. That part doesn't feel nice ever, you know. But it's real though, you know. And our life is not just our own, and it's not just about us. We're not just here for ourselves. So I get that, and I try to just focus on the bigger purpose, the bigger goal here, and just pray through it, you know. And that's that. I live a blessed life though, Because, like, I see some stories of other victims, women that have been burnt, stabbed. Everybody doesn't make it out. So I'm fortunate.
Sure.
I'm fortunate. I can still see my face is my face is not disfigured. I don't have any major scarring or any vision loss or anything like that. I do have a titanium plate here and 2 screws that support my eye socket, and I have one little small scar here. I do have, when I touch my face, it zings. It has a sensation here where if it's touched, it'll like zing a little bit. I don't know how to describe it, but other than that, I don't have any other lasting real effects. Uh, so I try to remember that, when I'm walking forward in each day. I'm blessed. I'm good.
So my question to you, is there any triggers that cause you to have any um issues, that makes you feel like, wow, I really went through this?
No, but one thing I am learning as I'm aging is I never had secure love from a male, which has been hard all my life. I've had some good male relationships in my life as far as like a grandfather, or uncle, my brother. Um, but even with fatherhood, that was in pieces. And then every relationship that I had, there were some good relationships, but they didn't last. Even my situation moving down here to Georgia, we were together for many, many years, and one day he just decided that his heart was no longer in it, and that was the end of our relationship. So that's been tough, so I don't have anything I think that triggers me, but I don't have any point of reference for real safe whole love or trusting love. Um, and so recently I've begun to look at that and see if there's something else I may need to focus on there with my own self. But I don't like to bring anything from past situations into new situations. I try to be my best whole self in each situation and give 100%. But I think sometimes women like me, we don't have the best lens when it comes to picking people. And unfortunately, a heart like mine, you often see the good in people, and you don't pay enough attention to the bad things that you see. You know,
Mhm.
uh, so I'm trying to look at that a little bit closer now that I'm older. But I wouldn't say I have any triggers per se.
Okay. Well, even me being married 35 years. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Being married 35 years, Terry's mother-in-law, who used to be my neighbor, a lot of people don't know my story is I have father issues. And it was a big trigger for me to sometimes, you know, hold my temper. Never hit my wife, but hold my temper. And talking to Miss Laretha, she said, Clee, whether you was a good man or not, you still need to see somebody. And we just had this conversation maybe a month ago. She broke it down to me. She said, no matter how happy you are, know how good your marriage is, you still might need to see somebody because it's going to affect you no matter how things go. What's going on? I mean, Quinn Smith just put out a thing that, you know, you can't be raised by a woman alone, you need a man in your life. And I was trying to explain to him that I really didn't have any male role models in my life. It was a few men in my life who showed me a few things, but my mother was the major one who raised me. And I'm just glad she raised me to be a man and do manly things like treat a woman right and cook and do everything that's going to make me be a great husband, a father, and a son. But sometimes those issues cause other issues. And, you know, I've been married 35 years and I love my wife, but I thank God for her, because without her, I don't think I would even make it. I wouldn't have made it. Seriously.
Right. Relationships like yours, even though we're always on the outside looking in, and I'm sure there are things that are not perfect, but relationships like yours give people like me hope. Though your relationship, you know, I know it from being young, and just to see you guys still all these years later, you know, you guys always look very happy, and you're always together, and you know, it's what people aspire to have. And what was dropped in my spirit today, just the reminder is, you know, I'm worthy, I'm deserving of safe, secure, and whole love. You know, I'm not a perfect woman by any means, but I give the best that I can. And whatever has happened to me, you know, that was not good. You know, I didn't deserve that, but I'm not going to just give up on it. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people, is they just give up and feel like everybody's the same or everything will fail. And that's not the type of attitude that I like to live my life with. I always remain hopeful. You know, I began to have some health issues, and when we talk about therapy and seeing somebody, I think that's what is disparaging in our community. The Black culture is typically, we don't see people, and we haven't seen the need for it, or we didn't have the means for it. You know, to see the benefit to it, but there is a benefit to it. And if you don't have some type of faith system, outlet system, therapy system, it will begin to internally eat you alive. I began to have some seizures in my sleep, and the doctors didn't know why. Blood pressure, heart issues, all of that can come from your emotions and your heart health, not your physical heart, but your emotional heart and mind. You know, those things are not healed, and they begin to chip away at you. And so it's important to bring this awareness for so many reasons. It really is. There's so many reasons why it's important to talk about it. A lot of us have grown up seeing violence and thought it was normal, you know, or because maybe a man is a great man, but just when he drinks, he hits. He doesn't hit any other time. He's a great man, but it's just when he drinks, or don't make him mad, or don't set him off, or she only hits this man because he cheated, so he deserved it because he cheated. There's all kind of things, that cycles and things that we kind of grow up and normalize and kind of dismiss away or excuse them away, but they're not right. It's not healthy. It's not good for anybody, you know. And I think a lot of times, if men thought about their daughters and their mothers and their sisters, their nieces, if they thought about it from that standpoint, it might make them take a slower, you know, a step back. Like, would you want this to be happening to your daughter, or to your mother, to your sister, to your niece? And same on the other end, you know, as women, would you want somebody slapping your son around, or your father, or your uncle? You know,
Right.
so,
Right. I like that you brought that up. So I'm going to ask you, what can we do as men, as a community, as friends, to help support victims and do a better job at preventing domestic violence?
I'm starting to see it more and more, which is amazing to me. It gives me so much hope, and it's so beautiful to see a lot of repair and unity coming back into the Black homes. Men kind of walking more with integrity and that brotherhood. You see more images of Black love out there now, Black families. And not that this is just about Black people, it's about all people. But you know, it's just nice to have a system of, if men have other married friends, it helps. But if nobody's getting married, or nobody's in committed relationships, or nobody's in healthy relationships, who holds who accountable? It's just
Right.
you, you know. So it's nice to see more people bringing that family unit back, because then it's like, oh, you married? We married too. Let's go on a cruise. Are you married? We married too. Or you know, you're in a relationship, you know, this is what I'm doing over here. Okay, let's do this over here. And then you start to see it being a more of a communal thing. It's more positive, and it's goals now. Like, I'm starting to see, as I'm dating, I'm starting to hear more people saying, like, look, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to live. I'm getting older. I don't want to be by myself. I want to have a mate. I want to have a partner, and people just being real about that. So it's I think that's what men can do, and not be ashamed to talk about, like, yeah, she really made me angry, and I really felt like I could hit her, but I called my boy instead, and we went out and had a drink, or we went to church, or we went and played basketball, or we went and blew some steam. We went hiking, we went fishing. You know, baby, I'll be back. You know, we'll have to talk about this conversation later, because right now neither one of us is in a position to handle this in a good way. So let's set this on the table. I'm gonna go out. I promise I'll come back. And just that positive leadership, seeing men take their position in leadership, but in a healthy way, not from a domineering way as I'm the boss, you do what I say, but more from I'm the leader. So this is how I'm gonna set the tone for this in a healthy way, and we'll table this for now and come back to it when we're both in a better space. So that's how I think men can bring awareness to this and make this a better thing. You know, that's what I've been seeing, and that's what brings a lot of hope.
Well, you know, with Married with Knowledge, me and Terry talk about it all the time. One of our episodes is men struggling to go get help or finding someone that they could talk to, get a lot of things off their chest because men do hold stuff in, which causes them sometimes anger, sometimes pain that they don't know how to deal with. And this is the reason why me and Terry do this. We want to reach everybody, especially the men. We bring on a lot of men so we can talk about, you know, there's no perfect relationship or marriage. It's just what are you willing to do or say or to make it better? We talk about relationships that compete against each other. It's not a competition. You got to put an L in between that compete and make it complete each other. You got to complete one another. And we talk about it all the time. And this is why me and Terry do. We're not doing it for notarization. We're not doing it to get money. We just want to get it out there so that we can reach some people that they can have healthy relationships, that the hitting on the woman or the men's side shouldn't be. No one should be hitting in anyone in any relationship. My mother always told me, if you got to put your hands on somebody, then you don't need to be in that relationship. There, you
That's
got something to say?
that's facts.
Yeah.
That's
No, I was just
that
listening
complete.
to.
That complete was deep. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if analogy is the right word, but that compete versus complete, how that one letter can change the whole dynamic of something. But even just having friends that have the healthy mindset to say, yo, you married, or yo, you got a good relationship, go back home. This is what y'all need to talk through that. Y'all need to work
Well,
through that.
right. And that's the story. That's my story.
Mhm.
I had when I first started dating Regina, my friends seen I was miserable. They said, man, Clee, go get your woman, man. Stop trying to be so macho like you don't need her. You are miserable. Go
Mhm.
get your woman. And see, that's why I say, and a lot of people get mad at me. I tell my friends, don't tell me nothing that you don't want my wife to know. We talk about everything. That's my best friend. But we need people to hold each other accountable. I have married men in the Jerry Bradleys, the Stephen Houstons, the Terry Burrows, the Quinn Smiths of the world who hold me accountable.
That's awesome.
You
That's
know, and that's what we need. We need more men holding each other accountable when it comes to relationships. Stop condoning these men doing what they doing, and women stop condoning your girlfriends from leaving home and doing this and doing that, and men too. We gotta start normalizing relationships,
Mhm.
relationship goals, taking care of one another, being there. Me and Terry talk about, I'm glad Terry could tell you this for his wife. We're glad that we got women who can check us, who can say, honey, I think that's wrong. and without getting mad. We respect each other. We agree to disagree without a lot of disagreement. Communication, conversation, dialogue helps us get through the things that we struggle with.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what we live for.
It just makes everybody so much better. You know, that partnership, that dynamic. You know, everybody needs a counterpart. You know, um, it just that's the way we were designed. You're not designed to just be by yourself unless you have that special gift that the Bible talks about. But most not many are called to that. You know, you need a
Right.
partner. You know, so a good, healthy partner to walk through life with.
That's it.
I think too, everybody realizing their power when it comes to good and bad. Men and women need to realize their power. Women have an innate power to trigger for good or to trigger for not so good too. And women being wise enough to know that you have a powerful mouth, you have a powerful spirit, and also using that in a healthy way too. Not that that would justify any violence or anything. I'm just saying that we all should just be more cautious in how we're treating people because believe it or not, I believe everybody has operated in some form of abuse at some point or other and didn't even realize it, whether it was emotional, spiritual, financial, sexual, uh, physical. You know, there are just a lot of manipulative things that people kind of slide into and they don't know it. So just trying to be
Mainly
a
verbal
whole,
too.
yes, to be a balanced human being, like you said, going to therapy, having a faith system, talking to people, having healthy relationships. It helps us be our best self. Will we ever be perfect people? No. But can you be the best version of yourself and be operating with the spirit of kindness, grace, forgiveness, true love, true patience, you know, really treating someone with the utmost respect. That's how we all should be aiming to be, you know.
That's it.
That is
You
a
know,
fact.
and that would keep a lot of these situations from happening because at the end of the day, if you think about it, most of this stuff happens because somebody got mad. Somebody got mad and was not able to control their emotions or their whatever at the time, you know. But learning these things about ourselves and being our whole selves will help these situations to not happen.
Okay.
I
Well,
agree. I agree. But as you know, as we're wrapping this up, we definitely want to thank you. And we just have so much respect for you coming on here and sharing
definitely.
something so personal. And I'm pretty sure there are people that are going to see this and you will touch someone in one way or another.
Hmm.
I truly do believe that.
I hope so.
Um, and I also wanted to ask, if there's any organizations or any support systems that helped you through your situations. If you want to shout them out to give people some insight and some information on where they can go if they need it.
Unfortunately, I didn't lean on organizations the way I probably should have. I leaned more on family and friends and just faith system. But there were organizations that did help. You know, in Rochester there was at the time Alternatives for Battered Women, but it's now called Willow, I believe. I'm now down in Georgia. There are some organizations here that I know help victims live safe. I know they've got the Courageous Awards coming up, hosted by Yandy Smith and Carly Red, honoring victims. They've got different vigils and things that I've attended. I'll be attending a town hall meeting soon. Just trying to find ways to connect, especially I'm more of a homebody type of person. I'm not an outside type of person like that, but I'm trying to get better about advocacy. And even that took growth, maturing, and healing too, to just kind of step out and make those connections with other people. You know, you'd be surprised at how many inboxes you get, from different people and places. But my first steps were just always every year I would just share it on my social platforms that way. And Now I think with social media being such a I don't know, firestorm will be the things catch quicker, you know. So I think this year has gotten the most awareness um, for the topic, but it could also be because now more celebrities are starting to talk about it. Because before, domestic violence was more of a shame type of thing, or what did you do, or what, nobody really wanted to touch it or talk about it. It was kind of, just a shameful type of a thing. People just felt like either you deserve it or you did something to deserve it, or it's just not something people knew how to really address. But I think now people are starting to see it. It's been a bigger problem than talked about for decades and decades and decades.
Right.
And it breaks down the home. Breaks down so much. So people want to kind of let's and now you're starting to see the murders happen, and it gets worse.
It gets worse.
So with us about to wrap this up, would you like to say anything to any of the listeners out there um, that are listening? What you would like to say to them right now?
They deserve safe, secure, whole love. They deserve to be in a peaceful situation. You shouldn't have to live your life every day with butterflies in your stomach, not for a good way, but because you're in fear, or you're living in contempt, or you're living in unsurety, your footing is unsure. Nobody should live that way. No, you deserve better. Regardless if you're a perfect person or not, nobody's perfect. You deserve better. So find that. Even if you're not able to do it right away, take necessary small steps to get to a better place. Because even myself, there's been times where I've had to downsize from living in a beautiful home in a suburban area to living in an apartment in a not so good area. But I had more peace in the non-glamorous area than I did when I was living in the big beautiful house. So it's not about things, but it's about peace of mind. Peace of mind is priceless. You know, that's
Amen.
that's where true prosperity
That's
is. In
my
your,
saying.
in your
That's it.
in your peace of mind, where you can come home and you're not worried about what's going to happen to me today. What are they going to be upset about today? What's going to happen today? Nobody should live that way.
All right.
Awesome.
Better.
Well, I want to personally thank you for coming on. You're like a daughter to me. I just want to say, Terry, that putting your hands on anybody, whether you're a man or a woman, is not nice.
Nope.
I should say
No.
is abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And we're on here to say stop it. I'm here to say stop it. One thing, I got 3 boys, and I used to tell them all the time, if you put your hand on a woman and she called me, there's going to be a problem between me and you. You got to hold your kids and the men in your life accountable. And women, if you have to walk away, if you find that man cheating, don't hit him. Walk away. Don't put yourself in a predicament where he has to hit you back. And men, don't hit women that because you're angry and you don't know how to hold your temper. So with me saying that, I just want to say I'm sorry to all the women or men who have been abused. Um, I'm emotional right now, and I just want to say, if you are in that situation, try to get help.
Before it's too late,
No.
because you never want to wait until it's too late. Because then, what often happens is sometimes you find, especially when you have children or family members, they'll try to get in a position where they have to protect you, and oftentimes they'll get hurt. And sometimes it goes beyond just getting hurt. We never want that. So don't put yourself or your family and friends in a position where you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Get out before it's too late. Live in a peaceful, safe situation.
And me, I wouldn't be me if I didn't do my due diligence and do my research. So if you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please reach out for help. You could contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 or text the word START, START, to 88788. You're not alone, and there are people ready to help you 24/7. Ms. Chantel, I want to thank you again for coming on here and sharing your story. We really appreciate it. But that is our episode. Thank you all for tuning in. As you know, put God first and the rest will follow.
Follow.
Indeed.
Peace.
Good night.
Good.
Do you